Welcome to my educational channel Gyan Wizard. I am Ajmal. Today's topic for discussion is electric field and electric flux. If you place a charge Q at the origin, which is taken as a reference point, and we bring another charge small q in close proximity to this charge, then this charge will exert a force on the charge small q. Now the question arises, if we remove this charge q, then is there anything in the surrounding of this charge capital Q? To answer this question, a term called electric field is defined. When a charge Q is placed at point A, which is r distance away from the origin O, this charge will experience a force exerted by this charge. Because of this presence of this capital charge Q in its surrounding, there is an electric field, and because of this electric field, this charge will exert a force on this charge. The charge which produces the electric field is called source charge, and the charge which experiences its effect, that means effect of the electric field, that is the force, is called the test charge. Now, how we will numerically calculate the electric field produced by the charge placed at origin? It is given by electric field E is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught magnitude of the charge which produces the electric field divided by r square. Here we should not consider the small q, because this electric field is produced by the charge placed at origin. That's why we have taken here capital Q. Because of this electric field, when we will place another charge small q at A, this will experience a force which is given by Coulomb's law. F is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught capital Q multiplied by small q divided upon r square unit vector r. This unit vector will give the directions of the force acting, or the force exerted by this charge on this charge. When the source charge is positive, then direction of the electric field will be radially outward. But when the source charge will be negative, minus q, then the direction of the electric field will be radially inward. Okay. We can express the force in terms of electric field. Here if we see this term 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught, this is basically your E. We can write down F equal to Q into E. Let's numerically define electric field. When we take a unit charge, that means Q is equal to 1 unit, then E will be equal to F. That means electric field is the force experienced by a unit charge when placed at a point. Unit of electric field is Newton per Coulomb. Now, when we place the test charge Q at point A, there will be a mutual interaction between the source charge and test charge. Because of this interaction, the position of the source charge must not be disturbed. To satisfy this condition, we can take the value of the source charge very small, so that its presence will not impact the position or not change the position of the source charge. We can assume that delta Q is tending towards 0, and we can write down this expression as electric field as the E is equal to limit Q tends to 0 F upon Q. Here important thing is that when we will increase the magnitude of the test charge, let's increase the Q by 1 coulomb, 2 coulomb, 3 coulomb, subsequently the value of F also increases. But when we will take the ratio of F and the Q, F upon Q will remain constant, or we can say it will be a finite quantity. That means the value of electric field is independent of the value of test charge. Then on which parameter the electric field will depend? The value of electric field will depend on the value of this position vector r. How the positions of the test charge changes with respect to the position of the source charge which is at origin. That means value of the electric field is dependent on the position vector r. Let's take an example. If we consider a sphere where the test source charge is placed at the center of the sphere and test charge is at its surface, then distance between the two is the radius of the sphere, and value of the radius of the sphere is constant on the entire surface of the sphere. That means the electric field produced by the source charge placed at the center will remain constant on the entire surface, and then we can say that this sphere behaves as a symmetry for the electric field. Let's move to the another term called electric flux. If you place a surface in between the electric field lines, then how much electric field lines are crossing the surface perpendicular to it? Let's take, suppose the electric fields are passing through this one, and we place a surface. This is my surface, and we can say this is the incremental surface. If we consider the total surface as this whiteboard and a small part of it is taken, then how much number of the lines crosses this surface perpendicular to it? Here we should note that the number of the electric field lines must cross perpendicular to its surface, not along the surface. It will always cross perpendicular to the surface. Only that values of the electric field lines we should consider for calculating the electric flux. Now question arises, we have electric field and we have a surface. How the electric flux will depend on electric field and the area? If we increase the electric field intensity, or we will increase the magnitude of the electric field, then the numbers of the electric lines will come closer. That means more and more number of the lines can be accommodated in a given surface area. That means when we increase the strength of the electric field, then electric flux also increases. So we can say that electric flux is directly proportional to the electric field or magnitude of the electric field. Let's see how its dependency is on the surface chosen. Suppose we have taken this surface and n number of the electric field lines are crossing perpendicular to it. If we increase the surface, then more and more number of lines will cross the surface, the larger book. If we further increase the surface, then more and more number of lines will cross the larger book. This shows that when the electric field is uniform and we increase the surface area, then the value of electric flux also increases. That means electric flux is directly proportional to the surface area. So we can say that electric flux is directly proportional to both magnitude of the electric field and the surface area. and we can write down that electric field equal to E dot delta S. Delta S is the small surface area chosen. This is delta S is a vector quantity. That means it will have magnitude and directions both. Its direction will always be normal to the surface chosen. That means if we have taken this surface, the value of the delta S will be normal outward, because normal can be inward and outward. The direction of the delta S will be normal outward. If there is some angle theta between the E and delta S, then we will define incremental flux delta phi is equal to E dot delta S, E delta S cos theta, because see the dot product. Unit of electric flux is electric field is Newton per Coulomb multiplied by area, and unit of area is meter square. That means SI unit of electric flux is Newton per Coulomb meter square. If we want to calculate the total electric flux passing through the entire surface area, then we need to add the electric flux generated by the individual passing through the individual small areas. That means total flux phi is equal to summation E dot delta S. If suppose electric field is uniform, that means constant, we can take electric field outside. It will become E summation of delta S. We can find out the total surface area, multiply it with the electric field, we will get the total electric flux passing through that area. If the value of the incremental surface area is very small and tending towards the zero, then we can replace the summation by surface integration, and total flux passing through a surface will be equal to E surface integration of ds. This is all about the electric field and flux in this video. Hope you find this video useful. Please like it, share with your friends, and subscribe to my channel for getting notifications when new video gets uploaded. Thank you very much for watching this video.